Hello and welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason, and this week I'm again revisiting one of my earlier restorations. I'm doing this one again because viewer Kwan Rex asked me to restore his 57C Land Rover Fire Truck. I was happy to oblige and thought I'd record the process since it is my 5th year of doing Diecast Restos. It's been good to look back on my previous efforts in my other revisited 2019 videos this year. I last restored the 57C in September of that year. So for Kwan's Land Rover, I needed replacement side decals as well as a reproduction ladder, as the original one had split on several rungs. While it looks pretty decent on the outside, I was surprised to find on the front axle this shroud of glue. The wheels had completely seized. I could see that the plastic axle retainer had snapped off of the left side, but I was also concerned the base itself may be broken. There was plenty more evidence of glue on the inside too. So I have my work cut out for me today. I'll inset a few clips throughout this video from my original Land Rover restoration. You'll see my methods are actually quite similar by the point that video came out, albeit a touch more refined. That 57C was my 29th restoration. The model came out in 1966, replacing the gorgeous 59 Impala. This wasn't so gorgeous and far more utilitarian. Models were always painted red in varying bright to dark shades, with yellow Kent Fire Brigade wording and shield decals to each side. Its windows were blue tinted and it had a blue beacon that sat atop it. The base plate included the exposed hosepipe and appliance mouldings that appear at the rear of the model. Silver trim was initially added to the headlights and front bumper, then the front bumper only, before being omitted entirely. The vast majority of 57Cs you'll find with black plastic wheels attached, though a rare variation carries grey plastic ones of the same size. All had the detachable sets of rooftop mounted white plastic ladders. Later on in production, the water slide decals were replaced with paper labels. It was converted to Lesney's new Superfast wheels in 1970. On conversion to the Superfast line, the 57C lost its sliding plastic strip accessible underneath that could enable or disable the suspension. I'll be showing you my recreation of that piece later on in the video, as Kwan's was missing it. The Land Rover lasted only 1 year in the Superfast series before its early replacement by the 57D Decals Caravan. The model is of course based on a Land Rover, but in particular it is of a Series 2A Ford Control. The FC was first produced in 1962 using the Series 2A 2¼ litre petrol engine and using a 109-inch chassis. The cab was positioned over the engine to enable greater load space. Most examples were fitted with an ENV heavy-duty rear axle, with a matching front axle arriving later. It had large tyres with deep rims to help distribute the ground weight. These vehicles were underpowered and had a hard-working life. Increased capacity 2.6 litre engines were later made available on export FCs. Fewer than 2500 Series 2A FCs were built, with most having a utility body, though some had custom bodywork. A Series 2B Ford Control was introduced in 1966, with the 2¼ litre diesel engine now an option. Heavy-duty wide-track axles were fitted to improve stability, as was a front anti-roll bar and revised rear springs mounted above the axle rather than below it. The wheelbase was also increased to 110 inches. Production of the 2BFC ran up until 1974 when Land Rover rationalised its range. Some things don't change. I'm still using my wife's toothbrush and a takeaway dish filled with soapy water to wash the model's plastic parts. But some things do, like painting indoors in a spray booth rather than my old back garden. I'm sure the new owners wouldn't be too pleased with me rocking up and spraying some castings, interrupting their barbecue. It is the same paint on each though, trusty Tamiya TS8 Italian Red. Now I'm going to create my own suspension piece, seeing as the 57Cs is unique to it and isn't yet reproduced by suppliers. I need a 10mm by around 42mm strip of millimetre thick styrene first. That will act as the main component. It is firm enough to not immediately bend, but it does offer springy, responsive suspension. I'll show off my creation just before final reassembly. Next, I measure up and cut a vertical piece of styrene to act as the handle that turns the suspension on or off. When I'm happy with what I have, I glue it where it needs to be. Sticking with styrene, I begin to build a better brace for the axle, otherwise it'll constantly collapse on that side. So I use a styrene rod to bridge the gap and glue it in. I'll be back to add more once that is set. In the meantime, I can turn my attention to some other areas that need seeing to, including adding in trim to the original Lesney specifications, revitalising the black plastic wheels with some Citadel gloss nuln oil, and begin to polish the window and beacon pieces. I've swapped to Polywatch scratch remover for plastics these days, reserving the Autosol metal polish for metal only. But it did do a decent job at the time, I just much prefer the Polywatch now. That came following a suggestion in the comments section, and I'm very thankful to the individual who recommended it. I'm still on the same bottle of wood floor polish from the original clip. That has lasted me well. On the base, I've added in a vertical support on one side, and the other I've filled with glue. It now perfectly supports the axle, but looks a bit rough. That's why I'm colouring it in silver to hopefully not stand out like a sore thumb so much. It'll be hidden behind the wheel once it's done, so it's very much a case of function over form here. Now I move on to the decal application using reproductions from Black Square Decals. I had some real issues with my set from the original video, where parts of letters and part of the shield disappeared. They were far better this time around. Like the polish, Mr. Mark Softer has also been with me 5 years without replacement. It just goes to show that this hobby is all about longevity. Right, so now I've clear coated the model, it's down to the finishing touches, as I reattach the wheels to the base and can finally show off my slapdash suspension piece in action. And it works in both modes too. One final thing before reassembly is to coat the axle ends in chrome. Here were the pieces that make up Kwan's 57C Land Rover. In first goes the blue beacon. That sits loosely inside the model with the riveted in window piece securing it. That pushes firmly over the old posts. Next, the base slots in using 2 tongues and slots at the rear and 2 rivet posts at the front. Both of those have been tapped to accept 3mm M2 screws. And lastly, I add in the ladder. This is how Kwan's 57C Land Rover Fire Truck used to look. It wasn't a bad model on the face of things. It was in complete condition, had much of its original decals, and nothing appeared to be broken. But on closer inspection, you quickly see that the suspension piece is absent, the ladders are broken, and the front axle is glued solid. I suspect that's why he sent it to me for restoration. So let's take a look at what I did with it. This build was about more than the visual restoration. It was about fixing something that was broken, though at face value you'd be none the wiser the underside was a horror show. It's sitting a little higher now that my suspension piece is in the on position and working. With that repaired, I could focus on the nicer details, such as the lovely new coat of red paint, excellent Black Square Decals reproductions, replacement ladder, polished beacon and windows, and Citadel washed wheels. I returned the trim to factory standard too. How do you think I did in this recovery mission? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and leave a like if you enjoyed it. I've got my original and Kwan's restorations on the turntable together for one time only, before Kwan's is sent back to him, so stick around for that. Please subscribe if you haven't yet done so, but all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.